Today I'll be reading a bit of the book I read earlier on the Italo-Turkish War. My Carcano, my Alpini hat, which wouldn't have been worn at the time. They were found more during World War I, 1915 and 1916. Anyway, just an example for the video, basically. So, the Italo-Turkish War took place in 1911 to 1912. It was in Libya, North Africa, for an Italian colonial conflict, basically. I thought it was pretty funny that they made a whole board game based off this war. It was really popular at the time of 1913 and into World War I for Italy, which is really weird to think about now, looking back. It's like making a board game about a Chechen conflict. Not as much civilian genocide, but still strange. Anyway, let's read this. I think it's really neat. It's basically a photocopied version of an original with all the little notes inside and all the old pictures. This was the first use of airplanes in combat, the first use of airships in combat as well. I believe one of them mentioned in here, and there's some photos of it. It's called the Draken, which I think is just a neat name. I wonder what happened to the Italian airship, the Draken, from the Italo-Turkish War, and just where it's at now. Probably destroyed, I assume. But yeah, I just think it's neat. It's got all the little nicknames for this stuff. Like some of the artillery cannons are nicknamed, some of the aircraft are nicknamed. And then it's got an old picture of the Italian zone of defense and security in Libya, which I think is neat. Doesn't exist anymore. I ended up looking into it. It hasn't existed for about 80 years. The wall has been destroyed and the fortress has been destroyed. Anyway, it's got some definitions, contents, about 130, 150 pages. You can find this whole thing uploaded online by some Italian museum, thankfully, and in English, which is nice. And it's just got a bunch of old photocopied photos. I wish I could find maybe a postcard of some of these original ones. It'd be cool to have. Italo-Turkish War. Preface. The various correspondents of Italian newspapers have narrated from time to time, while under the immediate impression of facts, the singular events of our recent war, with patriotic zeal and brilliant and colored style. They have also referred to the civil administrations and policy pursued in Libya and the Aegean Peninsula by the Army and Navy, also with less detail on accounts of the lack of data and newspaper conservatism on the operations of mobilization, the complicated work of rendering secure the bases and constantly maintaining the troops at high standard of efficiency. Therefore, in order to get a clear and complete account of the war, it seemed wiser to complete a brief report of all the actions of the troops and treat successfully the mobilization, military operations, and civil administration and its policies, which the military authorities could execute with the cordial and efficacious cooperation of civil personnel called into the colonies after the first months of the war. This publication, therefore, a summary of the official actions during the Italo-Turkish War. And then there's an announcement. The publishers desired to express their great appreciation and courtesy of the Italian government in permitting use in this volume of the illustrations published in the original report to their government. Chapter 1. The mobilization. The Tripolitan question had been agitated a long time in Italy, but public opinion became largely interested only after the effect of conceitment of the young Turkish regime, which started to interfere with and continually placed obstacles to the pacific development of commerce, industries, and anything else of Italian initiative, not only in Tripoli and Caesarea, no clue how to pronounce it, I probably butchered it, but, it may have been said, in every other locality of the Turkish Empire. A rapid survey of the Moroccan question for the purpose of arriving at a definite solution showed that the importance of our status in the Mediterranean was lessened, and that our ensure the rights of Italy and Tripoli, we had to share a sphere of influence and pursue a policy adequate of our maritime interests. Our government made demands of the Porte and, awaiting a reply, resolved to prepare a military expedition in order to show Turkey the firm intention of Italy and not to see her prestige as a great power diminished, and to ensure the recognition of her rights by other nations. and special mobilization, which was followed, was the first experience of this kind for our troops on an extensive scale since the campaign for the Union of Italy. In the patient work of organization and preparation, the military authorities had to keep in mind, aside from particular exigency requiring this expedition, the necessity of not interfering with the eventual general mobilization of the troops, following that of each special body. In line with the above condition, it was proposed to assemble an expeditionary corps consisting of all arms: infantry, cavalry, artillery, hospital, and substantive corps. Drafts from the various territorial troops and a detail for service of the 2nd Reserve. There had to be a right obtained by special material and various means for light transportation, which had to be subsidized for regular material and regular transportation facilities, with the exception of carriages, caissons of the field artillery. To diminish the work of the sanitation corps, part of the Red Cross Association was assigned to the regular troops to maintain ambulances and field hospitals. It was decided that as soon as general mobilization was completed, the staff would be replaced immediately, the personnel and material taken from the forces available for a larger mobilization. The expeditionary force consisted of the following: 2 divisions, 1st and 2nd, each consisting of 2 brigades and each brigade of 2 regiments, with the machine gun platoons, 2 squadrons of cavalry, 1 regiment of field artillery consisting of 4 batteries of 73A or 3-inch cannons, 1 company of sappers, wagon and pack transportations, supplementary troops, 2 regiments of the Belgian, I don't know how to pronounce that properly either, sorry, infantry, in quotes, with a machine gun platoon, 1 regiment of field artillery, 4 batteries, 2 companies of coastal artillery, 2 companies of sapper, 1 company of signal corps, 4 field radio stations, wagon and pack transportation, and the Red Cross Association. The 2nd Reserve was held in readiness. The total expeditionary force was 34,000 men, 6,300 horses and mules, 1,050 wagons, 48 field guns, 24 mountain guns. Difficulties consisted with the work of special mobilization were experienced. Some were foreseen, others resulted from the particular conditions of the moment, namely, the fact that the class of 1889 was discharged a few days previously. Special sanitary regulations of the kingdom preventing the recall to arms of all those who were diseased. Necessity of the effecting embarkation of troops without interfering with normal traffic of the ports, especially that of Naples, selected that as the principal port of departure. The necessity of obtaining proper transportation without interfering with national maritime traffic. The difficulty of equipping all of the expeditionary force with the new olive drab uniform which they wore under World War I, when said uniform had not been adopted by all arms of the Italian military. As had been noted, Turkey evaded answering the demands made by our government, paid no attention to the remonstrances, I don't think I've ever heard that word before, made by us against sending of our troops and war material to Tripoli, finally made an evasive reply to our ultimatum. On September 25th, 1911, an order was issued designating September 28th, 1911. As a day of mobilization, the expeditionary force consisted of the class of 1890 and those recalled from the class of 1888. The transports were turned over to the Navy as rapidly as possible. The material was freighted with all celerity, to the point of embarkation. Daily requests were made by officers to be allowed to go to the front, and many soldiers of the class of 1888 made similar requests. Many demands were made by the ecclesiastics and different religious orders to be allowed to accompany the hospital corps. A convenient number of all were assigned. As soon as the mobilization was commenced, the military authorities ordered that all interested headquarters immediately compile and forward all reports relative to the movement and disposition of the troops, so that this valuable data may be used as a guide for such future organization as for the general mobilization. Said reports, as well as public opinion at home and abroad, have shown that the dispositions made more than fulfilled expectations. It was due to the zeal and interest displayed by all concerned that the mobilization was rapid and complete. But the new conditions arising from the Turkish concern in Libya demanded sending a force much superior to one contemplated, and, profiting by the new experience gained, others were issued in a brief time for new mobilization, so that the middle of October to the end of December the following troops were mobilized. And it was a shitload of troops. A whole page and a half. Anyway, That's chapter 1. Thanks. I got about 150 more pages of this. And if you'd like to see the images, I can take individual images of this. But again, this is all uploaded online. You can find it completely for free and read it yourself. This is the first part / first chapter of this audiobook by myself. Thank you for listening. God save the Tsar. Tsar's Taylor.